I believed I was married to a good man. We had shared years together, building a life full of small rituals. Sunday mornings meant coffee and pancakes. Friday nights were movie marathons under the same blanket. Every birthday was a surprise party, even when we both knew it was coming. Those little details cemented my belief in his loyalty, so when the first cracks showed, I ignored them. I told myself stress explained the late nights, or exhaustion explained the silence at the dinner table, but my instincts didn't stay quiet. My heart, even as it broke, whispered the dreadful truth. Something had changed. The signs grew, multiplying like shadows. His phone never left his hand now. He laughed at messages he didn't show me. His shirt smelled faintly of perfume, not mine. When I pressed for answers, his eyes slid away, and every lie left an aftertaste that lingered. Still, I played my role. I smiled at his excuses. I kissed him goodbye when he left for extra hours at work. I waited, holding every suspicion in silence. One night, the waiting ended. He fell asleep on the couch, face slack, phone pressed just under his chest. My hands shook as I slid it out, afraid and desperate all at once. I had dreaded this moment, prayed that I would be wrong. But the screen confirmed every fear. Messages, pictures, tags. Her name repeated again and again, a woman I'd never met. But now I would never forget. The betrayal stabbed deep, but what shocked me most was my own reaction. Instead of screaming, I sat in quiet. Instead of slamming doors, I held still. In that fragile silence, something inside me hardened. The rage cooled to something sharper, resolve. He thought I would cry. He thought I would beg. But I decided I would not crumble. No, I would wait. I would plan. And when the time was right, he would regret underestimating me. If he thought I would just pretend not to know, he was about to discover how wrong he really was. Days became a performance. I greeted him with the same warmth he expected. I poured his coffee, folded his clothes. Nothing in my face betrayed the storm inside my chest. But while I waited, I watched. And in that silence, I found my weapon. He had a drawer, his little secret drawer by the bed. Inside, hidden under socks, was a clear bottle, massage oil. At first glance, it seemed harmless, almost laughable. But I had noticed it disappeared with him often, tucked into a bag, then returned half empty. Suddenly, the truth connected. He wasn't hiding it from me because it was silly. He was hiding it because he used it with her. That was when my plan was born. If they wanted oil to heat their games, I would give them something that would bind their guilt. Oil can slip, but glue? Glue could trap them in the sin they thought would stay secret. The preparation was careful. I worked like a scientist, deliberate in every step. I found a clear, thick adhesive with no strong smell, something that could pass as oil to anyone not paying close attention. That night, I wore gloves and sat at the kitchen counter, heart pounding steady as a drum. I poured the golden liquid silently into the sink, watching it swirl down the drain. Then slowly I squeezed the glue in. Thick, smooth lines rolled into the bottle until it was filled again. I wiped the rim, smoothed the cap, left everything as it was. To anyone's eye, it would look unchanged. I placed it back in the drawer. Waiting now felt heavier, darker but satisfying. Each day he lied to me fueled my patience. Every false smile he wore made me stronger. He carried on, thinking his deception invisible. And I carried on, knowing it would collapse around him very soon. And then one evening the trap closed. I heard the car pull up later than ever. His footsteps were quick, his voice hushed as he ushered someone inside. A laugh followed, a woman's laugh, not mine. The sound pierced, but I held steady. I curled in my corner of the bed, pretending to sleep. But my ears, sharpened with resolve, caught everything. The bottle drawer clicked open. Soft whispers. The bed shifted with their weight. They thought they were hidden. They thought the night belonged to them. At first, it was muffled delight. Giggles, sighs. But minutes later, the sounds shifted. What had been playful transformed into panic. "What's happening?" Her voice broke. Just pull. No, don't move, damn it. My husband's voice cracked with terror. Sheets rustled violently. Their playful tone dissolved into sharp gasps of pain. The adhesive had worked. They were glued together, literally bound in their betrayal. For a moment, I just listened. Their panic was my release. Their horror was my calm. Then, when my heart had savored every drop of satisfaction, I moved. The door creaked open as I stepped inside. They froze, tangled, desperate, shame written on their faces. The mistress yelped, eyes wide in horror. My husband stared at me with pure dread. I leaned against the doorframe, voice calm, controlled. Looks like the two of you really are inseparable. They begged me, pleaded with frantic voices, bargaining, crying. But nothing softened me now. This was their stage, and I intended for the world to see the play they had chosen. And that was when I made the call. Not to family, not to friends, to emergency services. And when the dispatcher asked what was wrong, I gave the cold truth. Two adults, stuck together. You'll need paramedics. Sirens wailed across the neighborhood minutes later, shrill under the stars. Red and blue lights painted the walls, washing over their pale, horrified faces. The neighborhood stirred. Windows opened. Doors cracked. People stepped out into the night, curious about the commotion. The paramedics entered with gear and gloves, and what they saw froze them in shock. Two guilty lovers tangled, glued together, covered in sweat and shame. The mistress sobbed, covering her face. My husband croaked pathetic excuses, but every word drowned under the weight of humiliation. Please, just make them go away, he begged. But humiliation thrives in public. Neighbors gathered in clusters, whispering, chuckling, unable to hide their amusement. The paramedics tried to keep order, but there are no curtains when betrayal is this big. He had wanted secret passion. Instead, he got a parade of shame. The paramedics tried to move them. Sheets clung, skin tore, pain ripped screams from their throats. Still, there was no escape. They had to be taken out as they were, attached to one another across the yard, under the flashing lights. I followed close, deliberately slow, my calm smile reflecting in their panic. Everyone saw, everyone knew, and that was enough. But still I wanted more. At the hospital, the nightmare stretched longer. The lovers were wheeled in, moaning in pain, begging for help. But the humiliation only deepened. Doctors and nurses whispered around them, eyes flicking toward me with quiet awe. I heard the words they traded, cheating, glue. Wife did this. Giggles choked into silence whenever we passed, but I let them. Let the whispers spread. That was the point. Separation was slow, painful. The adhesive clung tight. Chemicals burned, scissors sliced. Their skin welted and blistered. Hours passed before they were finally freed. By then, nothing could erase the memory, neither theirs nor anyone else's. When the sun rose, news had already spread. My phone buzzed with messages. Is it true? Is he okay? Did you really do this? By the time family called, his shame was full and public. His job heard whispers. His friends behaved differently around him. Every person who looked at him carried laughter just below the surface of their faces. And the mistress? She vanished from town days later, unable to walk into any store without stares burning holes through her skin. He begged for forgiveness. He wept on our porch. He swore he had been stupid, that it never meant anything, that she didn't matter. He said he could fix it, that he could fix us. But there are things you cannot fix. There are betrayals so deep that the wound itself becomes a scar you decide to wear proudly. So I walked away. Not burdened. Not broken, proud, so I walked away. Not burdened. Not broken. proud, and in my mind one truth stood steady. Betrayal binds tighter than any glue, and once exposed, it never lets go.